All right, here we go. We got plenty to talk about. Hey, and welcome to another exciting edition of Old School, New School. He's Jude and Wil. He's the new school guy. I'm Wil Massasak. I'm the old school guy. And we're here every week talking about the NFL football and the NFL draft. And this week is the kind of the culmination of our pre-draft coverage. This is going to be a first-round mock draft that we're going to alternate picks. Jude is going to have the odd picks. I am going to have the even picks. We may even execute a trade if we can agree on one. If we can agree on anything, we'll see. But in the meantime, we're going to get right to it. We may not pick the player that you like. We may not even pick the right player for the team, but we're going to try. You know, it's all about the effort here at Old School, New School Football. And chances are we will get one right. You know, we'll get one pick that everybody's like, yeah, that was a really good pick.
I'm going to do better. I'm going to nail all these picks on my God,
head. 16 nailed picks. Good for you.
16, yeah.
Just bear in mind that, you know, the 32 players that are going to get picked in the first round, probably at least 16 of them are going to bust out of the league. So just keep that in mind for your success rate.
I'm not worried about what they do once they're there. I just need them to get there when I tell them they're going to get there.
There you go. Well, as you were saying, I think the top of the draft is pretty much like we've got a pretty good idea what's going to happen, although you never know because of all the sort of pre-draft maneuvering with trades and quarterbacks getting signed. But you get to start off with pick number 1. That's your Jacksonville Jaguars.
My Jacksonville Jaguars.
And everybody kind of thinks they know what you're going to do here. What are you going to do?
You know what? I'm going to throw a wrench in from pick number 1. We're going to trade out to no, come on, man. We're going to go Trevor Lawrence. Come on. This has been written in stone for how many months now? Like, if anything but this happens, I don't know what I can do. I'll give up my salary for a year. I'll go streaking across the White House lawn. I just don't see them going in any different direction. Well, I'll take that back. The one thing I could possibly see is maybe instead of taking Lawrence, they might take another quarterback. But honestly, I feel like it's Lawrence. There's no question about it for them. And, you know, we'll see when it happens.
I would say they have there's like a 1% chance that they'll take a different quarterback. Yeah. There's maybe a 5% chance that if a team came in the top 2 or 3 picks, like, you know, if one of the other 2 teams, the Jets or the 49ers, said they will make you an offer that you cannot possibly refuse to pick 2nd or 3rd, that they'd have to at least consider that option because Jacksonville needs a lot of stuff. And if they think, hey, we're going to get Zach Wilson and we're also going to get this and this and this, that might be good enough for them. But I would say that's 95% in stone.
Absolutely can see that happening. But it has to be one hell of a package. And more than likely, it's not going to be the Jets because the Jets, I feel like at this point, you're already kind of telling yourself, you know what? We're selling ourselves on Zach Wilson. That's going to be our guys. It'll have to be like a guy at 4, but the guy at 4 is not looking to move up. Or it might be a guy at 3, but they already gave up so many pieces to move up.
They don't have anything to bargain with. Yeah.
So it's just like, I really don't see it happening. That's why for me, it's really like that 0.001% chance that, you know, somebody else makes the pick. And again, unless they really just love Zach Wilson more than brain fart.
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. I literally said his name 5 minutes ago, but whatever. Unless they really, really love him over Trevor Lawrence, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, first of all, I'm picking for the Jets at number 2. I'm going to take Zach Wilson in a heartbeat. I think I would. I think it's a really tough position. I am not an NFL coach or GM, right?
Right.
I would take Zach Wilson first because I think his upside is actually maybe higher. But I don't have to deal with the risk of not picking Trevor Lawrence and losing that. Right. So like, that's the thing. If I were the GM of Jacksonville, I'd be inclined to take the safer pick that I still think is going to be a good player just because, you know, the downside for me, both personally and for my franchise, it would set you back forever. You know, like it's really hard when you use that draft capital that you have once in a lifetime, hope never to be there again with the number 1 pick, and then pick a guy that is not, you know, the expected pick and is a high upside player but busts. That would be very terrible. But for the Jets, I think they have nothing to lose, really. The Jets, you know, haven't really had a top team or a top quarterback for 30, 50 years. So I think that's a huge deal for them to be able to get one as good as Zach Wilson at number 2. You're the Jets fan. How'd I do?
I won't even deny it. I wanted to deny it for a little bit. But yeah, I feel like all the cards are laid out. You already got rid of Sam Darnold. There's no other quarterback on your roster right now that's even going to be in competition. This is going to be Zach Wilson's team, straight out like that. And you know what? You should be excited because he's had a great pro day showing. He did some good things at BYU, and this is your quarterback of the future. Like, get used to it, be happy with it, and if it doesn't work out, it'll be another long stretch of crummy Jets games that I'll force myself to watch.
I mean, if he fails, it'll be fun. Like he's not going to go down out of timidity. He's not going to go down afraid to throw the football, which guys do. That's Mitchell Trubisky. He's not going to fail like Trubisky.
It depends on the guy. It depends on the coaching system. I feel like for sure, he's a guy that's going to go out there and try and make things happen. But I'm not sure if they're going to give him zero limits, especially as a rookie coming into the NFL. They don't want to give you the keys to the Cadillac on day one. They might let you test drive it a little bit, but they're going to be right there in that passenger seat with you, holding your hand, making sure you're not trying to burn out and do donuts. Yeah. I want to see him burn out. I want to see the donuts. I want to see racing. I want to see no restrictions. I want to see you give me everything that you gave at BYU. That's what I would like to see, and that's where I feel you're more comfortable and you're just kind of out there having fun and not thinking about, I can't do this and I can't do that. Let me do this and just be safe. Go out there, make plays happen.
But it's a big step down in his offensive line situation. I mean, that's the problem is, you risk getting him so beat up that he loses his confidence. I mean, both beat up, not just physically, but mentally. He's thrown to a receiving crew right now in the Jets that's one of the worst in the league, and an offensive line that's, so these things have to
running back that's,
No, these things have to get worked out because if he's got nothing to work with, it'll be fun, but it could, break him down to the point where he can never bounce back. But yeah, I think he's got enough skills that I think he can. Fans are going to like watching him and feel like your team is always in it when he's your quarterback, which I think is that's why I would have him maybe first. I just feel like he's even when he fails, he's going to fail with a degree of excitement and possible success. There's a possibility of success. So I like that about him. Number 3, the San Francisco 49ers. That'd be you. They did all this maneuvering to get up here, and they're going to take Mac Jones, right?
Let's clarify something very quickly here. Are we picking based on what we would do, or are we picking based on what these teams would do?
We've never done this before together. I would say that it doesn't have to be one or the other. I think you can do if you feel like they're going to make a colossal mistake. I think this is your chance to write it. But you could also say, I think they're going to pick, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick. Right. That to me is the right way to deal with it because you'd go crazy trying to figure out what NFL teams are going to do. First of all, we're going to get, at some point, Seattle's going to make a pick and we're going to all be like, who? Like what? So, I don't know. You got to pick one and you're the one that has to live with the consequences. So you pick who you think is the right pick.
So obviously this is going to be quarterback because never in history has a team given up so much to move up this high to pick a position that's not quarterback. The Jimmy G experience, very short-lived, but I pat myself on the back, not because I like to see Jimmy G fail, but because as soon as they gave him that contract, I said, that's a big mistake, and I was right. Yeah. Nonetheless, here we are, number 3, 2021 draft. So you hear nothing about San Francisco and Trey Lance. I feel like Trey Lance is almost even maybe a forgotten man here. But you do see Justin Fields. You do see Mac Jones. Mac Jones, who a month or so ago was like a fringe 5 quarterback, back end, an experimental wait and let him sit quarterback. Now he's possibly going to be drafted with the 3rd overall pick. I think if you're a traditional offense, Mac Jones is a better guy for you. He's got that arm. He's shown that with the proper weapons around you, he'll make whatever throw you need him to make. He'll be more than good. He'll be great. But he's not exciting for me. He does what you're supposed to do as a quarterback, makes the plays you're supposed to make. I feel like Shanahan in that offense, I feel like maybe he'll be, because he's an offensive guy and he's always going to want the piece that adds another dimension, gives him more playmaking ability, opens up the playbook more for him. And it is why I'm going to go Justin Fields out of Ohio State. I thought a second it was either going to be Fields or Trey Lance, but I just feel like Fields with his pro day definitely helped in my eyes. They definitely are going to be going to his next pro day, even though they might have missed the last one. And, you know, just because whenever you see a name being linked so much, so often with a team, sometimes there's, you know, it's not just smoke screens, you know, sometimes there's some truth behind it. And I just like that Justin Fields has that playmaking ability. He can make plays with his legs. He's showed that he has a cannon for an arm. I feel like with the right offense that San Francisco has, especially with the playmakers there, he's set up to produce, to do some great things out there. And at the very least, you know, they've got that great defense they can rely on. So they can say, you know what, it's not working out. Let's take some off your plate. And you still have that second dimension to you, so teams won't be able to just focus in and take away one thing and two thing, and you can't do anything else. And we can just play great defense, put up enough points. And Justin Fields, I feel like, gives them that in that, you know, he doesn't have to be great, but he can be great. And there's just untapped potential there with him.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be devil's argument, or devil's. I will give an alternative. Yeah, I will give an alternative reading of the facts. I at first, when they made the move up, everybody was like, they're going to, you know, they're drafting Trey Lance or Justin Fields. And I was like, yeah, I get them trying to go for it and whatever. And it sort of feels like it fits their style of offense. But the more I thought about it after there started to be talk about Mac Jones being a guy, I think San Francisco, you know, the Shanahan offense there, it's not about the running skills or even movement skills of the quarterback. What they really look for their quarterback to do is make quick decisions and anticipate throws and to see the field so that to get through their progressions, because, you know, Shanahan gives their quarterbacks guys. Like, you know, not every offense gives you wide open guys. They scheme receivers open with what they do in both the running game and the, you know, patterns, plays that they put together more than most teams. I think that's a really killer quarterback situation for a quarterback who sees the field. You know, Justin Fields, the thing is, there are parts of his game and skill set that are absolutely elite. The two things I would say that are not elite about him are his ability to scan the field and go through his progressions and to anticipate throws. So to me, it's like the worst stuff for him is what their offense kind of depends on him to do. But, you know, could he succeed? Sure, because he can make plays with his legs that Mac Jones couldn't dream of making. And, you know, let his processing catch up, you know, as he wins with his legs. Right. So I don't think the pick is terrible or anything, but I can see them picking Mac Jones.
I'll play devil's advocate for you. Granted, you're saying that, you know, what they want to do, what they have their quarterbacks do is throw quick, make that quick decision. I'll argue that that's just what they did because of the quarterback that they had in Jimmy Garoppolo, where they realized, okay, this is not a guy that's going to go out and throw bombs and go through 1, 2, and 3 reads and then make a play. We're just going to take that away from you and just tell you this is what you're going to throw to, simplify it tremendously for you. I feel like as a floor, Justin Fields can do that for you. This is what you're going to read. Make the throw or don't throw it into the second window. He'll absolutely be able to do that for you. Or they'll say, you know what, we've got a playmaker. And every offensive coordinator I know, offensive guy, they love playing with toys and drawing up new plays and changing up things to make it fit better for that playmaker so they can be a more dangerous team, which is what I'm expecting Shanahan is going to do with his shiny new toy.
Yeah, all right, I buy that. Let's move on, just because we're going to run tight on time. We could talk about these top 3 picks all day, even though we know who's coming.
We can.
Atlanta.
Number 4, doozy.
Here's the thing about Atlanta. They really need an edge. You know, they need a pass rusher. It's way too early for I don't like any of the pass rushers enough to pick one here at 4. And if Denver wants to give me a first and, you know, change, or if New England wants to give me 2 firsts and change, I'm making this deal. You're picking for both Denver and New England, so you tell me. Do you think it's worth it to either of those 2 teams to move up? because I don't, I'm not the biggest I don't believe in Drew Lock really at all. And New England, right now they're playing with Cam Newton and his surgically repaired shoulder. That's never been the same.
I agree with you in that both of these teams would absolutely want to move up and grab a quarterback. I think Carolina also might be in there to make a move for a quarterback.
Even with Darnold.
I mean, there's no way you looked at what Darnold's done the last 4 years and say, this is a guy that I feel confident in going into the season. You already made it known that, Teddy Bridgewater, you're not a fan of his. And PJ Walker had some moments where it's like, oh, maybe he can be something more. And then he's had some moments where it's like, okay, that's why he was playing in the AAFL or whatever it was called. I think Denver's sitting there at 6. Right now, we still got Trey Lance.
No, Denver's at 8. Not 8.
Carolina's at 8.
I'm fooling with this.
Miami's at 6.
Denver's at 9.
Denver's at 9.
Carolina's at 8. Denver's at 9. New England at 15.
That actually throws a little wrench into this for me because now Carolina's ahead of both New England.
That's right.
And
Denver. Right. So one of those two teams really going to want to move up here. But like I said, it's to go from 4 to 9 for Atlanta, they're willing to do the deal. I think they'd be easy, but they're still going to want that, like a first and a third, or, this year's first, next year's first, and a third of either year. Like that's what it's going to take to get the deal done for Denver or Carolina.
If I'm Denver, I'm sitting there, I'm looking at New England, and I'm thinking, you know what? New England doesn't really make those type of trades, but is that a risk I'm willing to take? Because New England also doesn't spend money in free agency, and they've done that this year.
And Carolina, as you said, might be a player. Maybe they're just slow playing.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's 2 quarterbacks left that are in that first round top 10 scenario, and Trey Lance and Mac Jones. So I'm just saying, you know what? One of these guys can fall to me. Mm-hmm. But also I can miss out on one of these guys.
That's right.
If I don't pull the trigger. But do I love either of these guys? So right now, I'm looking at 4, and at the Atlanta Falcons are saying, I want this year's first, next year's first, and what else?
A mid-round, like a third or fourth for let's call it a third this year, or third next year, or a fourth this year.
Third next year or fourth next year?
No, fourth this year or third next year. Same value. And this year's first and next year's first. I think that's pretty reasonable, actually, when you think about what teams paid to move up. But going from 4 to 8 for Atlanta doesn't really matter that much.
You know what? I guess we are going to shake it up a little bit. Denver, I think, will pull the trigger on a trade to move up to number 4.
Do I get to pick for Denver?
I mean, it's either you'll pick for Denver at 4 or you'll pick for Atlanta at 9.
Yeah, you're going to pick for Atlanta at 9. I'm going to pick for Denver at 4.
All right.
I'm gonna throw this for a loop a little bit.
Denver at 4.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. It's actually a little bit of a tough choice. I'll tell you why. Jerry Jeudy was a little bit lost playing with Drew Lock. Do you think he'd look any good with Mac Jones thrown to him? But I think the pick will be Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance probably fits a little bit more what they would like to do in Denver. And even with the pick of Drew Lock, he's more similar to that mindset and Elway's mindset about what he used to like, even though it's a different guy picking now. So to me, if I'm making that trade, I'm trading up for Trey Lance. So we're going to have Trey Lance go number 4 to Denver. Trey Lance is, just to be quick about it, it's like a big risk. That's a swing for the fences. If he plays up to the potential that we all think he has, he could be great. The thing that makes me feel a little bit better about the choice, even though he only has 1 year of college football, is apparently he's like a preparation freak. Those kinds of guys tend to be successful. They may not be the best player ever, but they get the most out of the talent that they have usually because they work at it. It's like you're going to get a guy that doesn't really want to work at it. He can have all the talent in the world. But I think I think I'm comfortable making this pick for Denver because, you got to swing for the fences to hit home runs.
No qualms with that one at all. Absolutely. If you're in a position where another team that's made it known they're not quite happy with their quarterback play, and you have a guy here that a lot of teams like, some teams love. Yeah. I'm not sure where Denver falls on that spectrum, but if you feel like he's a guy that gives you a better chance and you've just made this trade to move up, you're absolutely going to go ahead and take that chance on Trey Lance. A lot of upside with him, and I feel like at the very least, you don't have to sit there and wonder what if you swung for the fences. Hopefully you hit. Where are we at? We're on the clock now. Number 5 pick.
Number 5 for Cincinnati. And by the way, you might be that third or fourth you had to give up to in addition to throw in for this deal. You could probably get that back for Drew Lock. So.
Very true. Very true.
Move the other quarterback and get some assets back. Number 5, Cincinnati Bengals. Both these next 2 picks, Cincinnati and Miami, are interesting because they have a lot of options.
This is another position where we could possibly trade back.
Only one quarterback left.
But
I don't think, is he worth trading up to 5 for, though?
Mac Jones? A lot of people have Mac Jones as a guy that's going to go before Trey Lance. As a guy that's
I just mean that to me, if Mac Jones falls to 10, I got no problems, picking him or making a move up for him. At 5, that's rich.
I get what you're saying. Like, do I want to move up for Mac Jones? Like, do I feel good saying that? Do I feel good pitching that to my owner and my coach and things of that nature? Do I feel good sacrificing pieces? I'm the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm absolutely listening. If a team like New England wanted to move up and do it, I'm absolutely listening.
But I think Trey Lance is the guy they want. I really do. I feel like he fits that mentality of the keeping, detailed notes about every coaching session he's ever had and that kind of thing. That falls right into Belichick's lap. So if you can't get that guy, I think he's probably not going to pick a quarterback in round 1.
Just to give more reason as to why it wouldn't happen, at least not with New England. Belichick is a guy that treasures young talent that he doesn't have to pay a lot. I don't see him jumping for joy, giving up multiple picks to take Mac Jones, who he might not be as high on.
Well, they tell you they would tell you that if they pick 3 players, their chances are better of having one of those 3 be a superstar than trading up for a guy at the overpaying.
That you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, right.
So Cincinnati's sitting here. Nobody's giving us an enticing offer. We're going to go one of 2 ways. We're either going to protect our number 1 overall pick last year, or we're going to give him a shiny new toy that he has some repertoire with and make Jamar Chase the number 1 overall pick. Not number 1 overall, our number 1 overall pick at 5.
Well, go ahead.
One pick is like, this is the safe, smart choice and a protection on our investment. And it's a player that's possibly going to last for the next 10 to 15 years. The other is, imagine the things we can accomplish if we got this guy that you already have a connection with.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting choice. I mean, it's glib to say, look at how Joe Burrow's season ended last year, get to take the offensive lineman. But it's a really deep offensive line draft. Just because you don't get it, at pick number 6 doesn't mean that you're not going to get one, especially they have another pick later in the first round. So I think they have options here without being irresponsible. So I think, my advice, take the best player you got.
I hear what you're saying, but do they have guys, as far as offensive linemen, that you can plug and play right away by the time they get to their next pick? Like,
yeah, their next one, I forgot they traded thing away. 6, 12, 18. Yes, the answer is almost undoubtedly they will have a plug and play offensive lineman there.
Plug and play offensive lineman. Let's see. Who do we have? We have Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater,
Christian Darrisaw,
and Elijah Vera Tucker.
I mean, I think you got all four of those guys can play. Now, Tucker and Slater might kick inside, but Cincinnati needs everything on the offensive line. So they're going to get a starter who's ready to start on day one at 18, in my opinion. It'd be unlikely that they would not be able to get it there.
I don't know.
And for that matter, if they really get stuck at the top of round 2, they'll have Eichenberg or Brady Christensen. I mean, those guys can still step in and play. There's no doubt in my mind they're day one starters. So
I hear what you're saying, and you make a lot of good points.
Pick it. It's your pick.
But I'm going to do the responsible thing. I'm going to take what I believe to be the best lineman in this draft. I am coming off of a season where I saw my number 1 pick get hurt because of poor line play. I'm drafting Penei Sewell at number 5. He's going to be a cornerstone for our franchise for the next decade minimum. I feel good about this pick. I feel like this is a very deep receiver class, not to mention. I saw what Higgins could do for me. We still have Taj Boyd. I like both of those pieces as a 1-2 punch. Wide receiver would be nice, but it's not a need. A need for us is better blocking to protect our number 1 overall pick from last season. So therefore, I'm going to stick with Penei Sewell.
Yeah, you got 3 teams in your division that have either a top pass rusher already or are known for having a slew of pass rushers. So I can see the logic of that pick a lot. Nothing bad to say about that. Number 6 would be the Miami Dolphins. Number 6 was, that's the Bengals. Number 6 is the Dolphins. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was getting them confused a second ago. I think this is easy. You take the best player in the draft, who is Kyle Pitts. He's a tight end from Florida. I think it's, Miami's in a position where they need everything. And they'll need a lot of things anyway. And it's their offensive line situation is okay. It's not terrible. And it's a deep offensive draft, but I just feel like even though tight end isn't their biggest need, he functions in a way that opens up all kinds of other stuff on your offense. And I think if you're, no matter what you add to that piece, he's going to do more for you than Gesicki does, who's their, nominally their tight end right now. But I think you can run both of them because really Pitts functions like a big wide receiver anyway. So you have some options, interesting targets for Tua if you're going to keep Tua here. So anyway, I'm down with that. I know
Kyle Pitts was actually a sneaky undercover pick for Cincinnati at 5'2".
What we loved about him from the field, from his time at Ohio.
Could easily have been there.
Excel on him because to me, you saw the.
I see you're getting your advice from experts online. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to. I wasn't trying to talk you out of Pitts at 5. In fact, that would have been fine too. Same thing with Cincinnati.
No, I mean
these teams need help, and you're adding a great player. It doesn't matter which one you pick, really. So can't go wrong.
For me, Pitts wasn't going to be over Chase. I mean, it was either going to be Chase or Penei like the whole way. But Pitts would because they also need a good tight end as well. But
well, guess what? Here you are at 7 with the Detroit Lions. What do the Lions need?
I'm not sold on Goff, so this could be a quarterback here. But before I make a decision like that, I have to at least see what Goff can do, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He is a Super Bowl playing quarterback, so quarterback's off the table. That just leaves pretty much every other position up for the Lions. We did lose both of our receivers in this past free agency period. So I feel like receiver is definitely a position of need.
Yeah.
And it just so happens the Dolphins didn't take Jamar Chase. Cincinnati didn't take Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase falls to us here and is our day 1 wide receiver 1. And I feel really good about it. Who is he competing with snaps with? I think Mohamed Sanu is like the de facto number 1 right now. Jamar Chase is instantly going to add a jolt of electricity to our offense. Jared Goff instantly finds his go-to guy. We have a decent run game going. And you know what? We're just going to slowly but surely build our way to being relevant again. Detroit Lions going with Jamar Chase.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a perfect fit for them. I would have run to the podium. So I'm down with that. I just feel like you give Goff some receivers who can really play. He looks pretty good. So when he doesn't have as much to work with, that's the problem. Or the teams sniff out their offensive plan. He proved to be not so good. That proved to be his downfall in Los Angeles. At the number 8 pick, it's your Carolina Panthers. As we've discussed, maybe not totally out of the market for quarterback, but I think much like the situation with Jared Goff, they're more likely to give Darnold a chance here by adding some help. They're sneaky. They could go cornerback maybe. And if Kyle Pitts had fallen, I think they would have run to the podium for him. Mm-hmm. But instead, I think it's going to be offensive line here. And the only question is, what are they really looking for? I like Greg Little, as a left tackle. So I don't think, unlike most teams, I don't think left tackle is like their biggest need, but you could also bump him to right tackle. And so on. I would argue that maybe Carolina's biggest issue that they have right now is in the interior. Their left guard is a player that, I think it's Dennis Daly, who's like a 6th-round pick. It's an easily upgradable position. And I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball. I think Elijah Vera Tucker is the best guard prospect in this class. I think he is, like I've been saying all draft season, if there was a factory that was the company that produces All-Pro Guard, the All-Pro Guard factory, that he would be the 2021 edition, So he's just like straight out of Central Casting as a guard, can play tackle. So you could start him at left tackle if you really want to, or start him at guard with the hopes that eventually he's going to be your tackle, but he instantly makes that line better. So I'm going to take him ahead of Slater here. I just feel like he's a little bit bigger. He has a little bit more mojo for a team that I think is going to want to get back to basics, or run the football a little bit, and give, not rely on Sam Darnold to make a million plays down the field.
I can see that. I like that. No problem. So we're here at 9.
Number nine is your Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons who traded down with Denver. Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons. What do we need? We need a quarterback to eventually replace Matt Ryan. We need edge rushers. We've needed an edge rusher for some time now. We need corner. We need linemen. So I guess right now really would be best player available. But best player available.
Another one of those teams where you can't go wrong, man. Just pick a good player.
Yeah. I think we're playing. Carolina's not going to toss the ball too much on us. Saints, we don't know where their quarterback situation is going to look like. Tampa Bay, they'll probably throw the ball a bit, but that's one team out of the 3 that we have to face twice a year. So cornerback and edge would be the top 2 in my eyes. And I guess I'd go edge over corner. But corner is also a position that, if you get a corner that's going to shut down half the field for you, you absolutely take him. But I think it depends on if you really love an edge or not.
If you get your chance to have the top edge in the class.
I love the 2 players at the top of these 2 positions, edge rusher and corner. I think right now I'm leaning towards edge rusher, and I'm going to go with Kwity Paye out of Michigan. I'm very tempted to go with Surtain, but edge rusher is also one of those positions if you got a guy that you feel is going to be a difference maker, which I definitely expect Paye to be. Mm-hmm. I think in the right system, he fits this system that we have here. I think he can be a guy that definitely makes a difference. We've had an issue getting to the quarterback for the last several years now, and I think this is the first piece to change that narrative. As much as I would have loved Surtain, I feel a lot better taking Paye at this point right now.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, the thing about the edge class is I think it's a matter of taste. Who the top guy is like who fits your team and who do you like? Because I'm not 100% sold on any of the top guys who are supposed to be the top guys. I like kind of the next tier better. But I endorse that pick for Atlanta, especially for a team that just needs somebody to be dangerous, at the edge position. So I think he'll help with them. Even if he ends up being sort of their number 2 down the road, he's going to be a good contributor for them, I think. And Dallas is going to send you a Christmas card for the rest of your days as the GM of Atlanta because they are running to the podium to get Patrick Surtain, who I think is a perfect fit for Dallas. And Dallas is a perfect fit for him. I feel like that's a match made in heaven. It would be completely unsurprising to me if that were the actual pick at number 10. So Dallas is going to go there. I don't think we need to. We've just talked about him last week, so I don't think we need to get too far into it. But I feel like Dallas needed the top player at some position, and cornerback is as good as any.
So we're definitely going Surtain here for Dallas.
That brings us to your New York Giants. Your New York Football Giants at pick 11.
New York Giants.
Now, when you're a Jets fan, do you follow the Giants and root for them as well, or are you kind of like?
No. So I'm actually more of a Giants fan than a Jets fan. But if if I'm ranking, then it's Giants first and then Jets for me.
It's like a quarterback. If you have more than one team, you have no team. I'm just saying.
If I had to absolutely pick one, it's absolutely the Giants. But
okay,
I root for all New York teams just like I do Mets and Yankees.
Well, it's a better choice anyway to take the Giants. The Jets are nothing but heartbreak, man.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. But we live in a society where it's what have you done for me lately? And both of these teams can say absolutely nothing. Nonetheless, let's go Giants. Giants need edge rushing. Giants always need offensive line help. I don't think they need any more receiver help. I like Slayton. I like Kenny Golladay. I like Shepard. I like the addition of John Ross, even if he's not going to play much, and he's just a guy that you throw in there to take deep shots. Running back, we're going to get our boy Saquon Barkley back. D tackle, we just re-upped with who's our boy?
Cox, Fletcher Cox?
Williams. No, we just re-upped with Williams.
Okay.
Leonard Williams.
The Eagles are the next team. I'm sorry. Yeah, for the Giants.
We did lose Dalvin Tomlinson, but we also have Dexter Lawrence that we drafted not too long ago out of Clemson, who shows glimpses. Hopefully this year he takes that next step. So I think here is going to be a question of edge or offensive line. The best one is already off the board in pay. I think there's a lot of good offensive linemen left over. I think we're going to go with linemen. Yeah. I think Penny's already off the board, and I think second best would be Slater here for me. I think the Giants are going to go for Sean Slater.
Yeah, I think that's a smart pick. I don't expect them to do that at all. This is Dave Gettleman we're talking about.
Dave Gettleman loves big boys. Granted, he does love defensive big boys more than offensive, but he does love his offensive linemen as well. And I feel like the Giants are a piece or two from having not a great line, but a good line where it's not one where you can constantly say, these guys suck, they need to get better, quarterback has no time back there. I think 1-2 more great pieces, and that's not a position that's not a position group that you need to worry about anymore. Yeah. And it just makes a lot of sense here for me to take Rashawn Slater.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong picking a good player for a team that needs help. I'm going to say that same thing over and over again, especially with these bottom 10 or so teams. I like that pick. I think one of those Alabama receivers probably had to cross your mind at that spot for the Giants, just because they're so Barkley oriented right now, and you got to find out if Daniel Jones can play, or else it's a waste of time to have him.
They did. But we just gave Kenny Golladay all this money. And again, I'm higher on John Ross than a lot. I might as well go ahead and say I'm higher than everybody else.
Sounds like it.
But I feel like it was more of an injury thing for him, and he's still the fastest man in the NFL. He still has his speed. He can still catch the ball. And when he did get a chance to get the ball in his hands, whip some space, he made some plays happen. So I like him as the fourth option on our team. And Kenny Golladay is our number one. We don't need a receiver. For me, it's like, what do we need to be good? Wide receiver is probably one of your best position groups right now. So to waste your first round pick on a receiver on a position group that's already probably your best, I think, is a waste. Let's go with a position group where it's been bad for some time. You're trending in the right direction. Let's take a piece that's going to maybe put us in a position where it's not something we have to worry about anymore.
No, I could see that. And I think, like I said, you're sort of there. You lay out some very good reasons, and there's so many wide receivers. It's like, are the top guys good? Yes. Are they so much better than the next level of guys that you have to pick one? I don't think so. Especially like you said, since you just paid all that money to Golladay to be your number one, you need a burner to put opposite him, I think, but you'll get there probably soon. Probably, with their next pick, I would imagine if they're thinking about that. The Philadelphia Eagles are now at pick number 12. It's a weird situation. Me personally, if there were a quarterback here that I loved, like if one of them had fallen, I would take him because I'm not so much a believer in Jalen Hurts going forward as their number one guy. But once again, they're in that position where they're going to spend the year with Hurts. If he works out, great. If he doesn't work out, you'll be picking a quarterback next year, which is fine. You'll be in a better position to pick one, in a way. You just were out of the range this year. So maybe next year you'll be in better range if Hurts can't play. But that being said, I think, they're in a bad situation. They're going to be throwing good money after bad, and no matter what they do. I was not high on Jalen Reagor, who they picked last year. Not to say that he's, definitely not going to work out because it's only been 1 year, and he certainly might. But they lost to Sean Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey. I think at this point they would really like to get a wide receiver who is a bit more of a high pedigree player that they can count on to come in and be their number one option. If the other guys, if Reagor works out, great, but he's not really a guy that's going to run all the route tree and do a bunch of, be your number one guy. So I think with the choice boils down to the two Alabama players. For a certain team, if they didn't have a Jalen Reagor, who's kind of the burner to go downfield, I would be inclined to take Waddle. Maybe in a vacuum, I would take him over Devonta Smith, but I'm going to take Devonta Smith here for the Eagles. I feel like that's a better fit for them. He's a better, more versatile kind of a player. And
like I mentioned it earlier, he has that body frame of Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, it's sort of a match. You can see that one happening too in real life. That brings us. God has potential. So especially with his lack of size, he has the potential to have some issues. But I think you got to go with it and swing for some high productivity players if you're Philly, because they have really not hit on wide receivers very well. So if you can't hit on them very well, you got to pick a lot of them to get one right. That brings us to the Los Angeles Chargers at number 13. What do you think about this team? Feels like they got their quarterback.
For sure.
We say that after 1 year, no problem.
Yeah, that sophomore slump is a real thing. I certainly believe in it, but I really like what I saw out of Herbert last year. I'd be more shocked than anything if, he didn't return with a similar performance this season. That being said, we did just lose out. We just released, as a matter of fact, our two-time All-Pro cornerback in Casey Hayward. I think we're going to be in the market for another corner here. I'm not 100% sure, but I think their other corner might be gone as well. So corner might be a position of dire need. And I feel good right now in taking J.C. Horn for the Chargers. This is a guy As we spoke on last week, he's going to be the second best corner if he's not the number one corner in this year's draft class. He's a guy you can plug and play day one. He's going to give you that man bump coverage right away. He finds his way to the ball. He's athletic. He's physical. And I think he's going to do a lot of great things on this defense. Los Angeles Chargers feel confident and are happy to take J.C. Horn with the number 13 overall pick.
I'm maybe not exactly a physical match, but man, he does feel a little bit like Casey Hayward in terms of the way he plays the game. Mm-hmm. So that feels like a natural, fit as well. Not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but that, everybody expects him to go offensive line, but just don't hurt yourself trying to pat yourself on the back. That's what I have to say. The Vikings are next at the number 14 pick. They really need, offensive help. They could use an edge rusher. Linebacker's not out of the question here. If you really love Micah Parsons, this would be a place where he could land, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't really love him. I do love Christian Darrisaw. I think he's well worth pick 14. I believe in picking offensive linemen early, even though there's going to be offensive linemen left. This top tier, and I think this is the end of the top tier. If you're Minnesota, you feel like you got to get one. So I'm gonna take Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. Day one starter. He's he's not perfect. Coming out of college, but he is very steady. I love his posture. He's a knee bender, not a waist bender. He is solid in the run game. I just feel like he's big. He has the build. He has the arm length. I like that guy.
Where did Mac Jones go? Nowhere. And here we are at 15.
That's right.
With the New England Patriots on the clock. Ladies and gentlemen, match made in heaven. Patriots luck out. They made it past a slew of teams who could have taken them. But they get their quarterback of the future and Mac Jones right here. Again, a guy who's being talked up as, a potential top 5 pick. Yeah. Is this a likely scenario? I don't know, but I can absolutely guarantee that if the New England Patriots sit at 15 and somehow Mac Jones falls to them at 15,
everybody will be talking about what a genius Belichick is.
They're running to the podium, licking their chops before someone can change their mind, and they're saying we're taking Mac Jones this year.
It'll be like that Belichick. He's a genius.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they
I
don't
think
believe
that's a good pick for them because they also can afford. They have a lot of capital with their fan base. If they pick a quarterback who doesn't work out, it's going to be okay. They'll get over it.
Yeah, we've only given you 7 championships in the last how many years?
All. Yeah,
at
least 5 of which were probably not involved cheating. So,
sorry. We took a chance on a quarterback that we thought could possibly bring more championships. Apologies.
Yeah. No, listen, and he's used to being a winner. I think Mac Jones going to an organization that's well run is a better fit for him. Me personally, I'm like I wish that the Saints were in a slightly better position. I feel like that's the best fit for him. Like I feel like if he goes to New Orleans, he steps right into that team. That's just built for him. And it's in a dome. Sort of mitigates his arm strength a little bit. He plays a little like Drew Brees already. Like it makes sense to me. But we'll see what happens with him. I don't think he'll make it to there, and I don't think the Saints have the power to move up. Lucky New England. Number 16 is your Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals, boy, they need a quarterback. Patrick Peterson is, near the end, maybe.
Peterson's gone.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like they need. Is he actually gone? I thought they were just trying to get rid of him, but they actually got rid of him.
Did they cut him? I don't know if they cut him. Yeah, I think they cut him, and he got picked up by Minnesota.
Oh yeah, okay. In that case, they signed Malcolm Butler, but Malcolm Butler's like good in some places and not so good in other places. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure you can count on that. But it's like I don't know about the medicals on Caleb Farley, but I'm inclined to make that pick here at 16. I think there's less pressure here, being that they brought Malcolm Butler in. If it doesn't work out 100% the way you thought it would, I think he'd still be a good player. I just, you're just going to cross your fingers on the medical and take a shot, because if Farley works out for them, it's an excellent fit, I think, for the style of play they would like to play on defense. I think this, their situation there is they need some juice on the defense to, complement what they're building on offense right now that they think they have with Kyler Murray. So I think corner's a need for them, and they're willing to take the chance on Caleb Farley. But, I could see them maybe going to wide receiver or something. There's still great wide receivers on the board, or at least one of the top tier guys.
Yeah.
But I think it's like they've given Kyler Murray some help, and now it's time to get some help on defense.
I could see him going running back too.
I just think 16 is like a good teams don't pick running backs that early. I mean, if you're a bad team and you don't really have a quarterback, sure, because it keeps you competitive in games that you otherwise wouldn't be in. But, to me, the two situations for running backs, especially in the first round, are bad team, bad quarterback, or a team that's already a contender and has few holes who needs, has a specific need to upgrade at running back. But, man, if you're a team that has a bunch of needs, that's tough, man. Because it doesn't help you. Like, by the time the other needs, the players that you fill in for the other needs, by the time they get good, the running back's done. So the Raiders are next. That's for you at number 17.
Raiders. Another team, they can go in a variety of directions. Linemen would be like first, but just like you mentioned, the top guys are already gone. And the next group of guys, it's a group of them. So I feel like by the time this comes around again, I'll have a shot at one of those guys. Where we really need help is defense, and we need it at all three levels. Edge rusher. Actually, we just signed Yannick Ngakoue. So it doesn't help to have another one. But as you've seen, I'm a guy that focuses more on need than, having more pieces than needed. I need some linebacker play. I need some interior defensive lineman play. I need defensive back play better at all of those positions. I'm going to go with linebacker and, I'm going to go inside linebacker. I'm going to go with Micah Parsons. I'm going to drink the juice from the pro day and the 4.3 speed and the big man just running around. And I'm going to go on the Penn State pedigree of producing these great linebackers that get to the league and absolutely wreak havoc. And I'm going to feel great that Micah fell all the way down to 17 to us, the Raiders. And I think he's going to look great in black and silver.
Oh, the Raiders love those fast guys, man. Always. So you could see that happen. I mean,
almost picked a punter too.
Did you think about Tevin Jenkins here? Do you see Jenkins as a right tackle, or do you see him as a guard? Out of curiosity, because the right tackle is what their offensive line need is.
I like it would have been. It's cool to have him, but I don't feel like he'll give me as much as I can get from Micah Parsons. I feel like Parsons will be a difference maker as opposed to Jenkins. I feel like, maybe he'll play this season, but I don't know that he's a guy that I'll just plug and play and won't have to worry about. I don't even know for sure that he's absolutely going to start for me on day one as opposed to Parsons. I feel like that's an immediate contributor on that defense that just it lacks at so many levels, at so many positions, and I think we need him more than we need Jenkins.
Yeah. Well, also your Raiders are also going to get a nice Christmas card, a Hanukkah card every year from the Miami Dolphins, because the Dolphins, they took the tight end, even though they have a pretty good tight end right now. Yeah. But the other need they have, of course, is wide receiver. And you happen to have a guy on the board who had a little chemistry with your quarterback when they were in college. His name is Jalen Waddle.
He did, yeah.
And Waddle going to Miami is like, it's super no-brainer. I love Waddle, actually. In a way, I think he's, for me, he's the number 2 wide receiver in the class. I like what Devonta did, but I maintain that Waddle is the guy that is a little bit more dangerous in many, in different ways. And when you saw him, his speed in the open field for Alabama, I just think makes me feel like if he can be healthy, and you can, he's a guy you can depend on, who can do a lot of, he affects defenses a lot. So I liked, the Slim Reaper as a fit for a team that needs that guy to be all around good. For Miami, mm-hmm. I think it's nice to have the chemistry with Tua, and then also to threaten, vertically. So if you got a burner, at wide receiver, and you got Pitts in the middle of the field, and then you got Gesicki. It's like you have jump ball guy, a truly dangerous tight end, big wide receiver, and then Jalen Waddle. I think that's, if Tua can't hack it with those guys, you've seen all you need to see about his play.
I like it.
That brings us to 19 to Washington football. Go ahead.
No, I just thought with that first pick you would have taken a receiver, but it works out well for you because now you've got a really good tight end and a really good wide receiver. Yeah. If this ever happened on draft day, man, Miami's looking good offensively.
They're in a good spot, I think, with their 2 first-round picks before 20, because I think it drops off a little after the the early 20s. This first round, the players that are available, but Miami's in a good spot.
Sure.
Washington football team at pick number 19. That's you.
Miami's in a similar position as the Raiders, where they love to snag an offensive lineman, but the best of the best aren't there. They also need a linebacker. Micah Parsons is gone. There's still some really good ones left. They need a tight end. I don't like the remaining tight ends enough to pick them this high. They need a quarterback. The best of the best quarterbacks are gone. So this 19 pick is not very friendly to the Washington football team. But a position of need where you still have a player that's really good, I feel like, is cornerback. And you have a couple guys we can take here.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, who's the next guy, right?
Surtain's gone. I believe you took Farley.
You took Horn. I took Surtain and Farley. So we're down to that ambiguous group of guys.
As we mentioned, as I said last week, I felt like after the next 8 guys that round out that top 10 are kind of all interchangeable. But this guy I'm really high on. I'm going to take Greg Newsome out of Northwestern.
I think that's we didn't talk about him when we talked about quarterbacks.
Yeah. So I feel like the real knock on him is just each season he was hurt. And me, best ability is availability. But when he did play, this is an absolute standout corner. Another lengthy guy who plays that man-to-man press. Very fluid, good hips, good speed. That combo of his size to speed and agility, I really like it a lot. I think we need help at every position we can get. So this is also kind of like a best player available, but best player of need. We need some corner help, and I think this is absolutely the pick to go with if it all shakes out the way it has so far.
Yeah. I think the corners, you could just see the way this works with corner need. They went earlier than I think people anticipate they're going to go, a lot of the mocks that I've seen, but I don't have a problem with any of them that have gone so far. And Greg Newsome, I think, is a totally worthy first-round pick, so I buy that. Pick number 20 is your Chicago Bears. The Bears need a quarterback, but they don't really have the ammo to go anywhere. They're sort of still they're playing a year in limbo, basically, getting out from underneath the Trubisky fiasco, and then the Foles fiasco. And now they're on to the Andy Dalton stage of the fiasco. But I think they're not playing. It's not like Chicago is playing to win this year, which is unfortunate because, they're one of those teams, like, they play their division opponents really well. Even though they don't play so hot outside of the division, that gives them a shot. If they were a little bit better, they might win a couple of those division games that they play close. But since there isn't really a quarterback here that I like at all, I mean, I think that it's a long way down to the next quarterback, no matter who you think it is. And I think the quarterback class next year is actually, maybe you may or may not have the top guys who are as good as the top guys this year, but I feel like it's going to be 5, 6, 7 deeper than this year. So I think the Bears have a shot, quarterback needy teams for next year. More teams have their quarterback than usual, and there's more quarterback depth next year. So I think if you're a quarterback needy team and you couldn't reach to get a top quarterback, you're going to get one next year. I think it's, they're either going to draft an offensive lineman probably slightly earlier than I would like, because, their other needs, wide receiver, were kind of like past, they could take a Rashad Bateman or something like that. But I think 20 is a little early for that. It's for a rebuilding team. Like, to me, you rebuild from the lines outward. And I think it never hurts to invest in the offensive and defensive line for a rebuilding team, because until you have your quarterback, you might as well just make yourself strong up the middle. I think I don't like Tevin Jenkins particularly as a right tackle, but if you're the Bears, you could draft him here and try him at tackle. And if he happens to work out at tackle, that's great, all the better. And if he doesn't, he can play guard for you. And if he fits that sort of, the sort of nasty Chicago Bears offensive style that they like to have with their linemen. So I'm going to take Tevin Jenkins for the Bears here. Both the Bears and Washington, I think, in real life could reach on a tackle that we don't necessarily think of as being a first-round tackle, but happens to be a tackle they really like. Because since Trent Williams left, the Washington football team, I think, could really use a left tackle, and the Bears, need it. So you could see a Liam Eichenberg. You could even see the Spencer Brown, the freak athlete tackle from from FCS. I think this would be the spot. One of these two teams isn't really going to be a contender, so they could take a shot on a developing, super stud who has a potential, very high ceiling. But anyway, I'm taking Tevin Jenkins here. So that brings us to 21. That would be your Indianapolis Colts.
Let's see. Our left tackle, Anthony Costanzo, retired. We added some pieces. Haven't seen them play together yet with our current line, so we don't know how it's going to go. So that might still be a position of need for us. We have a really good defense, but we don't get to the quarterback a lot. If we get to the quarterback more, this could be a really elite defense. Receivers. We signed back T.Y. Hilton. We need receivers too. We need tight end. We brought back Xavier Rhodes, cornerback. It would be nice to get another cornerback. But you know what? I think I want to turn this from a good defense to an elite defense and get some pass rush help, because we just aren't able to get to the quarterback as frequently as we would like. And there is an edge rusher here that absolutely probably will not make it down this far. So it's like I'm kind of just happy that this player's here. Best player available, possibly. I'm going to take Jalen Phillips out of Miami.
Oh, yeah.
He satisfies the need, and it's a player that has even gone as high as top 10 in some mocks. And here he is falling to us at 21. Definitely top 15 minimum, but he's here at 21. I'd almost feel foolish not taking him. Had a great pro day workout as well. Good little career out at Miami playing for the U. And he's just a big boy with good speed. We're going to teach him a lot more things, and he's not going to be the focus of this defense. So I feel like that's even going to give him more opportunities to go out and make plays, because nobody's going to be scheming per se for him off the edge. I just really like this, and I'm happy that all these other teams, the 20 teams in front of me, chose to pass up on him, and will gladly accept him in Indianapolis.
Sure. That brings us. I think he's a good fit there too, Jalen Phillips. It brings us to pick 22, the Tennessee Titans. The Titans would have to be really disappointed at this point with the way that offensive line and wide receiver and cornerback have gotten picked apart already in this draft class. I'm sure that if they made a board, that those would have been the guys that they were really hoping one of them would fall to them. But I kind of think that either Bateman or Toney are the next guys off the board at wide receiver. I don't love either of them as a fit for a team that's going to run the ball a lot. And they still have AJ Brown to throw to, but they need like a complement to him. And I'm just not positive either one of those guys is really the match that I would like to see for that. So I think the Isaiah Wilson deal from last year, where they drafted Wilson very high, and he also might have been very high because he pretty much has crashed and burned his way out of the league in a remarkably short period of time. So, right tackle is still an issue for the Titans. I think they consider themselves to be more of a contender. So I don't think the Wild, going after a absolute athletic freak, the Spencer Brown of the world is going to go a lot earlier than I think people think. He's probably not going to go any worse than mid-round 2. But I think Tennessee Titans, after Isaiah Wilson, they need a safe bet. Liam Eichenberg is actually the antithesis of Isaiah Wilson. He's a solid player who played in an offensive line scheme that was very sophisticated, one of the most sophisticated in college football. And he is safe. He's not going to bomb out of the league in 2 weeks. So I feel like that's a guy that is sort of plug and play for them. And the pickings are so slim at wide receiver, corner, tight end, safety. If there were a team that wanted to trade up here to get like Azeez Ojulari, I could see that this being a spot for them to trade out because their board is decimated. But I think they'll take this safe pick and be done with it. What do you think about that? Tough place to pick, I think.
It is a tough place to pick. But it's just, you have so many, like you're getting to that point where it's like, there's a lot of good players left and you're just trying to pick between who's going to be a good player that also fits a need.
Mm-hmm. I think they were hoping like Elijah Vera Tucker. That's the dude for Tennessee that I think they would love to come there.
Absolutely.
So if he falls far enough, that could happen. But or Darisaw. But yeah, I think that
I don't see either of those guys falling that far.
No, it doesn't feel like it. I mean, 3 months ago, yeah, but now I don't. Or Tevin Jenkins, any of those guys would work in Tennessee. That brings us to your New York Jets, number 23.
Back to the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets have another pick. People haven't talked about this very much at all. What are they going after?
Again, we got our quarterback, and now we just need to fill every other position. 23. What can we do? I feel like we got our quarterback. We need help defensively. We need help offensively. I feel inclined to give my quarterback a new shiny toy to play with. The top wide receivers are gone. However, I feel like the fourth receiver is not so much a drastic drop off from the top 3 guys. I think I feel good here taking Kadarius Toney from Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some bust potential with Toney, but I do think he's a really good choice for a young quarterback who's willing to buy the kind of stuff that Zach Wilson does. He's going to run around. You need a cat that can just succeed in chaos, which I think Toney can do. And he the catch radius, the speed, work in progress. But I love Toney. I think that's a great pick.
I like Toney as a playmaking ability, and I like him because from what I've seen, when it's not clicking for rookie quarterbacks, what they love to do is dump off to either running back or the slot guy that's running those, short inside of 5-yard, inside of 10-yard routes. And I feel like Kadarius Toney, he's definitely going to be a guy that'll line up in slot and run those little 5-yard quick outs and things of that nature, because they also want to just give him the ball with space and what we see when we look at his tape is when he's in space, that's when he's most dangerous. So I really like it from that perspective. And I feel like he might be more underrated, even though he's, for me, the 4th rated receiver in this draft class. I think he has good size. He has great speed. He has great hands. I feel like in the right system with the right quarterback, and just like you mentioned, with a guy like Zach Wilson, who could, keep the play going, even though it might not be there right now. He's like a great guy that's not good, even though the route might not work out and he might not get the ball when he's supposed to. Yeah. He'll roll with the quarterback and find his space downfield and make those big plays just like he did consistently out at Florida. So I feel really good about this pick. I am not going to lie. I do wish I could have taken him in a 2nd round, perhaps, but I feel like I like him more than I would reaching for, a lineman or anything else, any of those other positions, because I like him more than any of the other guys that I feel like we need right now.
Who was the Atlanta wide receiver whose girlfriend burned down his house? The one that played with played for a little while with Favre in Green Bay, and then he went to Atlanta. I can't remember his name. His girlfriend tried to burn something of his. She was mad at him and tried to burn something of his in the bathroom sink and burn his mansion down. But he was known. He was known for you'll find it there. But he was known for never running the right route. But he was like an all-pro receiver. Like it was just sort of like, he might be where you think he's going to be, but if you throw it to him, like he's going to make a play for you. I think there's a little of that in Kadarius Toney, but the upside is he's Santonio Holmes. He's built like Santonio Holmes. He has kind of that open field swag. And I could see him being a guy that really works out for him. So I'm down with that. That's a good pick. I think that
you're licking your chops here.
Oh my God. Well, you have no idea. Well, first of all, the Steelers' number 1 need is center. They lost Marquise Pouncey, who was already sort of on the decline the last year or so. They have a very tenuous situation at tackle, at left tackle. Like they told actually Zach Banner last year that he was going to be their left tackle in 2021. And so they signed him, and it's presumed that he is going to play left tackle. I think he's a little bit better suited to be a right tackle. But they seem to be at least into having him start there for the moment. But I don't really, the tackle population is pretty thin right now in the draft and with left. And the center situation, I think a lot of people here would say Landon Dickerson would be a guy that could pick. But between the injury history and the fact that, he's enormous and a really good player, but I don't think, for 30 years now, they've had centers that were really mobile and that led their run game to the edge and were like a really big part of their run game. I find it hard to believe they're going to go completely against type with something that they have been so dead set on for 30 years. So I don't see Dickerson being a Steeler. I think he fits a lot better with like the Ravens or Cleveland, teams that are sort of, this power run game straight ahead. The sneaky needs, for the Steelers are, I could see them adding a slot player or a player in the middle of the field. Their linebacker situation, they have Devin Bush, who has the speed to run sideline to sideline and is getting better in coverage. Someday maybe will be even really good in coverage, but he lacks length. He's a pretty short statured player. And so it's always been an issue, like to have somebody paired with him who either isn't very good in coverage or who doesn't have length is kind of an issue. So, in previous years they had Bush, they had Mike Hilton, who's a very short player. And this caused a lot of problems in the slot. And then they have, inside linebackers not named Devin Bush, who were not very good in coverage in the middle of the field. So I actually think that's one of the sneaky needs that the Steelers have. It's been their demise on defense. Their defenses have started off the season really good. And as they get later in the season, they got picked apart in the middle of the field. And their playoff game losses, the last 3, have all featured getting killed in linebacker coverage in the middle of the field. I'm absolutely, this is me, and this board falls this way. I am positively running to the podium with glee for Jeremiah Owusu Karamoa, because that guy to me, if I'm the Steelers, I look at that guy and I think he may not play to the level of Troy Polamalu, because Troy Polamalu was like God was whispering in his ear before the play to tell him where to go. But in terms of the versatility and going everywhere on the defense and being able to be an eraser that solves a lot of problems, I love the fit for Pittsburgh. I think it's a player that they're interested in and may very well pick here. But despite the needs at running back, center, left tackle, cornerback, I think this is a place where you take the best player available that can help you, and I think he can help you.
Yeah. It's funny because you're saying it, and like I looked at him after my last pick, and I'm just like, man, he's definitely not going to last here.
Well, he could be. Like, I think he's a player that either fits what you want to do or doesn't necessarily. And, linebacker, that kind of coverage linebacker / safety is a thing that some defenses are really, into it, having a piece like that, and other defenses are not into that at all because of the style that they play. So I could see him being near the top of some teams' board and, in the 30s for other teams who would rather have a straight up safety or straight up corner, a straight up linebacker.
Right. And now we come back to the Jaguars. Also Jude and Wil. Pick 25. We're at the home stretch of this mock draft here.
Yeah, we might make it. Hit me.
Jaguars again. A lot of holes that they need to fill.
What is every mock draft you have them taking a running back here at 25? Can you explain this to me?
I have no clue. I'm very happy with James Robinson.
Love James Robinson. And, they did a good job running the ball last year. That wasn't the problem.
They did. That's probably the lone bright spot on a very dim season for them. There's a player here. I want to take him based on what he did 2 seasons ago, but that was 2 seasons ago, and what we can go off of recently is your pro day, and I was not happy with your pro day. So why am I talking about you? Because I kind of want to take you. I kind of want to take you in anticipation that, it was just a little rust, and 2019 will be good. And 2019 will come back to life in 2021. But I'm saying it, and I just don't believe it. Therefore, I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to go.
You're saying it to see if you could believe it, but you don't.
I was. I'm trying to talk myself into it, but the whole while I'm saying it is just not working for me. I'm going to go with a piece that I'll feel good about. That it'll be a position of need again, needs-based picking over here. I'm going to take Trevon Moehrig as I gushed over him last week. We're going to gush over him some more.
I think that's a good fit.
The most complete safety to me in this year's draft pool. Another player, again, I love when I can pick a player and play him from day one. He's a good fit for our defense. He's definitely got the tools to be a great safety in this league. He'll be rangy. We'll do a lot of things with him. Play him in the box. Let him play deep in coverage. I really feel good about this pick. We're taking Trevon Moehrig out of TCU.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick for them. I think that's another one that it would be top 5 of what we've done so far tonight that I think has the best chance of happening in real life. Safety is a big need for them, and they need like a quarterback of the defense on as a safety. He fits there. I could see that happening. Next is the Cleveland Browns. The edge rusher is their need. If Jalen Phillips were here, that's the guy they're hoping makes it to them. They're hoping that other teams are, put off by his injury history or whatever, and that because they like this bigger, longer kind of guy, and he fits that profile a little bit more than I see. I think it's funny. I think the guy, edge rusher who is on some draft boards would be super high and could go early because it only takes one team really. But who I'm not at all convinced will go early is Azeez Ojulari. And I don't think he fits what Cleveland does. I think he fits like a place where he can be a jack linebacker and be a guy who plays off ball, does all the same stuff he does, but more as a blitzer than like banging against an offensive tackle every play. So I don't think he really fits here. but they really need that guy, and there's not that much else at this point in their draft that they need as much. I think they're going to take, speaking of home run swings, they're going to take Jason Owa here. I think he's a guy that in 3 years could be a really, top 5 edge rusher. Is he going to be good enough in year 1 or year 2 to really help them? I don't know, but they really need a dynamic edge rusher to take some heat off Myles Garrett so that teams just can't key on him with like 3 guys like they have been. So at this point, I'm willing to take that chance for Cleveland. They've got a pretty good team built. They need that dynamic player, and they're going to cross their fingers and hope that he's it.
I like that pick from Cleveland. I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it as the next team up in the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh because you would have run for that guy. Probably fits a little better.
Gleefully. But here we are.
By the way, I got a little draft scoop for you. The Baltimore Ravens, apparently the player that they covet for their first round pick is Kwity Paye. So they may think they're in a position to get him, and they also might make a move for him. He is the player they think fits their team the best. I have an extremely good source with the Ravens, and that's what I'm hearing. So you can see that, right? I think that's a good player for them if they get him.
I hear you. But I feel like even though just in the 25 pick, I didn't really want to take him at 27 here as the Baltimore Ravens. I am desperate for an edge rusher. Judon gone, Ngakwe's gone. I need someone to get to the quarterback for me. And I kind of have to go with Gregory Rousseau.
Yeah. I mean, I think of what's left here, that would be the thing that they'd have to swing for. I could see, Rousseau, I think is boom bust.
Yeah.
But he could work. I could see that. Does he play the run well enough? I think that's what they look for in their guys.
I mean, I said it. He just looks so stiff and so rusty, and I mean, I don't want to hang my hat too much on a pro day because there's no pads on, and you're not really going up against anybody. It's more just you going up against yourself. So really, do I need my edge rusher to be a super agile, super quick guy? Not necessarily. I would like it though. He still looks like he has his power, and his last game tape is definitely something that would get me excited. So I'm hanging my hat more on that than anything. If his game tape was the last thing I saw, then absolutely I'm picking him top 15. He's absolutely going to be boomer bust. I just really wish he would have played a 2020 year, because if you played 2020 and you come out and have the pro day that you did, then I don't really care, because it's like, hey, you know what? These are just metrics we use to measure guys.
Sure.
Whatever. More what I'm focusing more of is your game tape and how you play and how you disengage from blocks and things like that. And in 2019, you did that very well. You got to the quarterback. You played the run good enough. So I'm going to bank on you being that same player that I saw 2 seasons ago and swinging for the fences here.
Yeah. I mean, I do think the edges is a position where it could be totally different guys that go with the order of guys going off the board. I could see a couple of guys jumping into here that aren't necessarily thought of as being first round picks, but like the aforementioned Joe Tyron from Washington, I think could be a fit for the Ravens. So it could be that one of those guys that's seen as like a tier 2 guy, Joseph Asai, like could make it up to here if that just is a preference for the Ravens that they liked better. And Rousseau, I was like, that's a guy that could go pick 15 or pick 50. Like I have no idea how NFL teams see him. But as you said, if you're willing to just overlook everything you've seen this year, sure, But it's hard. It's hard to know. Like, how did he spend that year off? Like, it didn't really feel like he spent that year off getting great. Yeah.
He might, you know what a lot of guys do is like they'll work out, like the bigger guys at least, they'll work out, but they won't account so much for the on-field stuff and the agility stuff, and it kind of really showed in his. It just looks like you were in the gym, but how much running were you doing?
Yeah, you haven't been playing football. I mean, because you play football, you build different. And just especially
and there's no real simulation for actually playing football.
No, it's that quickness reps. It's hard to train for that.
Yeah,
that's why they say playing into football shape. The New Orleans Saints at 28 are my team. I think this pick boils down. It's pretty simple. Either they add a wide receiver to pair with Michael Thomas. Some people seem to think that that's the spot they're going to go to. They have a nice. I like their 3 and 4 and their number 1. They need a number 2 there. So I considered Rashad Bateman. I think probably would be a fit there. But I think there's a player that's fallen to this point that I think has fallen far enough who fits in New Orleans that would really help them more at this point. And that is the linebacker, Zaven Collins from Tulsa. I think Zaven Collins here.
I like that.
I just feel like it's they need that a little bit of a playmaker, enforcer, guy on defense. And, they have a nice pass rush. They need help in the secondary, but they really need that second level guy they don't have right now. So I'm going to take Zaven Collins for the Saints.
I like that a lot.
Nice.
I like that.
Finally, you like one of my picks.
I like your picks.
I'm joking. It's fine.
I just really like this one.
Yeah. And that brings you to the Green Bay Packers, who probably are kicking the cat because they missed out on Zaven Collins. I think he's fits there too. So
he does. He absolutely
pick number 29
does.
for the Packers. Who you got?
But the other thing is, you know what? You've got this little championship window, and it's with every year that passes, it's just closing and closing and closing and closing. And it's a wonder how you haven't addressed this yet, but we saw in the playoffs, it can't just be Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams.
It can be, apparently, because that's all they seem to want to do.
It works during the season, but during the postseason, it just
they're another team, like I was just saying, they're another team that has a number 1, and they have some nice 3 and 4 guys. They just don't have that 2.
Mm-hmm. But that leads us to the next issue here. Do we have a guy who's going to be the number 2 here? Do I like Bateman enough? Do I like... Actually, I do. I like Bateman a lot. I just don't know how his game is going to translate to the NFL. But here we are.
Here's the thing, though. Nice situation for him. He doesn't have to be the number 1.
He doesn't have to be the number 1, which is why I'm going to go ahead and do it, because I don't know that I can go another draft without picking a wide receiver. And we've got a diva at quarterback who's been clamoring for a wide receiver.
He's itching to move to Jeopardy, man, if you don't do the right thing. Yeah.
So many seasons now. I don't know if I can get away with not getting him another receiver for another year. So best wide receiver available, I will say, is Bateman. We're going to go ahead, give Rodgers what he's been begging for. Hopefully he'll be happy now and he won't have to see angry Rodgers walking around the building. Yeah. Welcome to Green Bay. You're going to be a good number 2 for Devontae Adams, for Aaron Rodgers. And we're going to help keep this offense intact. And hopefully we get over that hump and make it to another Super Bowl,
Nice. I think that's a good pick for them. Because, as I said, I don't know if I like him as a team's number 1, but as a 2, I buy it for sure. The Buffalo Bills are up next at pick 30. This is where the falling star of Azeez Ojulari comes to an end. I think he's a fit with what Buffalo does, because he's not going to put his hand on the ground and be a defensive end for them. He's going to be that, outside linebacker on the strong side who's going to make plays for you and do a lot of rushing the passer, especially on passing downs. So I feel like it's a really good fit for them, for Buffalo. and it fits, their biggest need right now. They don't get enough pressure on the quarterback, and because the system they run with the 4-3, you're not dependent upon him to beat a tackle every play. So I like that pick for Buffalo. I'm going with Azeez, who is one of those cats that could easily get picked early or could fall out of the first round. Like I'm not really sure, like if he's not the fit for everyone, but for the right team, I think he's good.
And now we have the AFC champion, Kansas City Chiefs, at 31. He lost 2 tackles.
They get Lawrence Tarif Gervais back, the Canadian tackle that opted out last year because he's a doctor and he was treating COVID patients in the hospital. So they do get him back.
Okay.
And isn't there the guy was hurt, Eric Fisher? They didn't lose him, did they?
They cut him. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. For a salary cap, I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. Cap casualty.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, now you're down to what for offensive tackle, man? That's rough. Actually, for everything, their needs, it says here, offensive line, edge, cornerback, wide receiver, tight end. It's like it's tough to be the runner-up, man. And to be a team that lost a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
So, but that running around quarterback, even though he's the greatest, that's not a way to sustainable to winning.
Tight end, that's not going to be a position of need. Wide receiver, we lost Sammy Watkins, but Sammy Watkins was injured for majority of the season regardless. More or less, we're returning the exact same offense. We just don't have the same offensive line blocking, so it's the line that's a position of need for us. That being said, predictably so, the last 2 picks of the draft, the best linemen are gone. But I like this guy enough to make him a first-round pick. I'm going to go with Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Almost took him for Tennessee. He fits there, too.
Yeah. Again, needs-based drafting absolutely fits the need. Is a guy that's not terrible at all. Went all SEC. I'm comfortable with this pick. Yeah, you're playing SEC football. You're going up against the best pass rushers. You went all conference. You've played at Alabama for a couple seasons now and started for a couple seasons now. So you've got a lot of playing time under your belt. You're a big boy. You're very strong. I like you to protect our franchise quarterback. Yeah, Alex Leatherwood, welcome to the Chiefs. Hopefully we can return to the Super Bowl.
We hope. I like Alex Leatherwood. I think that totally works for them. Tampa Bay's in both a really good. I mean, it's great to be picking as the returning champion. There isn't a lot of pressure on your pick at 32. They could use a tackle. I feel like anybody they pick here is likely to be off the board. Like, in other words, rather than picking the best player available, I think they're more likely to pick a guy that fits a little role that they need. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Rather than necessarily just talk about them picking a running back. It's not out of the question for them to pick a running back. I'm not sure that, the Fournette train is super sustainable, especially not beyond this year. I think he's going to want to.
Yeah, but they've still got Ronald Jones too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're they're not empty anywhere, man. They're good,
Yeah.
Their edge guys, might price themselves out of the market. Maybe they would add an edge from somewhere.
They returned all their guys.
I don't know. They have them all this year, but they're in a position to draft for the guys they're going to lose next year and the year after that, rather than necessarily somebody they need to step right in and play. I think this is, like I said, I think they're either going to pick. I mean, it's the last time they're going to do this mock draft, so I'll throw 2 names at you that are both not being talked about as first-round picks that I think three players have a chance to be a first-round pick that not anybody's talking about. I'll make it quick. Jamin Davis, the linebacker from Kentucky. Even though they have two great linebackers there, I think it's a possibility that they're not going to have those two guys together forever and ever. So you could see them picking for the future as a guy that can step in there alongside Devin White and keep things going after Levante David falls off someday, which he may.
It would be White that's gone because Levante just re-signed.
He re-signed, but I think it might be one of those deals where, in 2 years, if he doesn't play up to the contract, that he'll be cap casualty. But I think that's the longer shot. There's a guy named Milton Williams, who's a defensive lineman from Louisiana Tech, who in NFL circles, from what I understand, he is considered to be at this, he's like a top 50 player in the draft. Most people outside who don't follow the draft that closely don't really know who the guy is, but he is a, super high motor, physical freak. The comparisons are just to people like Aaron Donald in terms of how he plays the game. He's an interior player that could line up at edge and be a pretty good edge player for you. He's that athletic. So he would be a guy that would be a possibility. And then the last one, and this is probably the one I'm going to say they're going to go with, is the tackle Spencer Brown from Northern Iowa. Swing tackle is a thing that they need to develop. They don't need somebody to necessarily start right now, but I think you're drafting a guy with incredible size and length and traits who is going to need to get coached up. But they have an amazing coaching staff probably the best coaching staff of top to bottom in the league in Tampa Bay. And I feel like they have time to build a developmental tackle. And there's a guy there that's just so ridiculous. He out-tested like Lane Johnson and guys like that who were the outlier offensive tackles of all time. If he had done it at the combine, everybody would be talking about him as a top 15 pick. But at 32, we'll happily take him very much for the Tampa Bay Bucks. So Spencer Brown, the offensive tackle from Northern Iowa. That wraps it up. Any final comments about our draft? You want to hear who we picked, or we want to make comments first? What do you like?
I feel it's weird because while we're making the picks, it feels like this is a logical pick. This pick makes sense. But at the same time, it's like there's no way this guy is going to be here come the actual draft day. No way this guy is going to fall this far down. So I'm not sure where the imbalances lie between none of our picks were like super outlandish and no way this guy's making it this far down.
But I think that's the thing with the draft, especially the first round, is it just not everybody can be a first round pick, and not every team picks the way you think they ought to pick, or that who you would pick. There'll be a wild pick, somebody gets picked that no one's been talking about,
Right.
So it just happens every year. Like Kellen Mond, could get picked somewhere here.
Yeah, nice developmental QB, absolutely. Not the first round. I don't see anyone.
I'm just saying, it's like teams are crazy, man. They fall in love with the player. You get them for 5 years too. That's the thing about this. Or another team can trade up from the second round into one of these later slots here and pick a quarterback because they get that extra contract year. Knowing that, as long as he doesn't completely bomb out, you're going to be able to trade him for something. Like if it doesn't work out, you'll get a little bit of your trade, value back, probably as much as you used to move up. So it's kind of a no-brainer for teams. And if he works out, then you got him at a good price and all that stuff. Okay, so here's what we picked. The Jaguars at number 1 picked Trevor Lawrence. The Jets at 2, Zach Wilson. 3 was the San Francisco 49ers, picked Justin Fields. Number 4, Atlanta traded out to Denver. Denver picked Trey Lance, quarterback from North Dakota State. Number 5, Cincinnati picked Penei Sewell. Number 6, Miami picked Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida. Number 7, Detroit picked Jamar Chase, wide receiver, probably best player in the draft, according to you, from LSU. And you wouldn't be wrong, really. Number 8, Carolina Panthers took Elijah Vera Tucker, the tackle guard from USC. At number 9, Atlanta traded down, and they got still the pass rusher they wanted, Kwity Paye. At number 10 was Dallas running to the podium for cornerback Pat Surtain. Number 11, the Giants took Rashawn Slater. Number 12, 12, I forget who that is. That's The Philadelphia Eagles ran to the podium for Devonta Smith, also a good pick for them. At the 13th slot, the Los Angeles Chargers took cornerback J.C. Horn of South Carolina. Number 14, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Their team took Darisaw, the tackle from Virginia Tech. Number 15, New England had Mac Jones fall to them, quarterback from Alabama. Number 16, the Arizona Cardinals picked Farley, the quarterback from Virginia Tech. The Raiders at 17 picked Micah Parsons from Penn State. Also a player they were happy fell to them, didn't expect it. 18, Miami Dolphins got Jalen Waddle, after all, with their second pick, paired him with Tua Tagovailoa. At 19, the Washington football team picked Greg Newsome, cornerback from Northwestern. Number 20, Chicago Bears picked Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State with his glasses in this photo. Number 21, Jalen Phillips went to the Colts. Number 22, Liam Eichenberg, the tackle from Notre Dame, went to Tennessee. Number 23, the New York Jets picked Kadarius Toney, wide receiver from Florida. Number 24, the Pittsburgh Steelers picked Jeremiah Owusu Karamoa. I just have to learn how to say it because he's going to be a Steeler. Number 24 pick. Number 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars smartly picked Trevon Moehrig, safety from TCU. At number 26, the Cleveland took a chance on Jason Owa, the edge rusher from Penn State. Number 27, the Baltimore Ravens were sorry to see the edge rushers go, but they picked Greg Rousseau anyway, edge rusher out of Miami. Number 28, the New Orleans Saints picked Zaven Collins, linebacker from Tulsa. Number 29, Green Bay finally got a wide receiver in round one, Rashad Bateman from Minnesota.
At number 30, the Buffalo Bills got Azeez Ojulari, the linebacker / edge rusher from Georgia. Number 31, the Chiefs got Alex Leatherwood to help them on their offensive line. And number 32, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers took a shot at the height, weight, speed prospect of this year's draft, Spencer Brown, tackle from Northern Iowa. Final thoughts on everything. That was a marathon.
Some good mocking going on here. That's the only final thoughts. 16 out of 16. No, I don't put anything on that though.
I'm pretty sure I'm only 13 of 16. So you got me.
13 of 16? Oh.
Yeah.
Would you take a day off?
Maybe. Yeah. Listen, great covering the draft with you, but the next time we get together, we're going to probably talk about the actual draft, or maybe some surprise things that happen between now and then. In the meantime, you take it easy and join us. Hit the subscribe button. Visit us on Twitter, on any place that you can find a podcast. The Old School, New School Football. He's Jude and Wil. I'm Wil Masasak. Great having you for our draft coverage. Join us next week for another exciting episode of Old School, New School. Fist it up.